Hello everyone. Welcome back to the Old Charles, where we dive deep into the fascinating world of coins, currency, and collectibles. Today's video is all about the 1965 United States quarter dollar, a coin that may look ordinary at first glance, but it carries a very unique place in American numismatic history. We'll cover its history, design details, value in different conditions, and why collectors still search for this specific quarter today. So stay tuned till the end, because some of these coins could actually be worth a lot more than just 25 cents. The year 1965 was a turning point for U.S. coinage. Before this year, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But due to rising silver prices in the early 1960s, the U.S. government made a huge decision to remove silver from circulating quarters entirely. Starting in 1965, quarters were struck with a copper-nickel-clad composition. 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. This change was made under the Coinage Act of 1965, signed by President Lyndon B. Johnson. Because of this, the 1965 Washington quarter became the first year of the modern clad coinage system. Collectors often view it as a historic transitional coin, marking the end of the silver era and the beginning of what we use today. The 1965 Washington quarter kept the same design introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. Features a bust of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Above his head is the word Liberty. To the left is the motto, "In God We Trust." And at the bottom is the date, 1965, that shows a bald eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, with olive branches beneath, symbolizing America's readiness for war, but preference for peace. The words United States of America and E pluribus unum appear above, with quarter dollar at the bottom. No mint marks appear on the 1965 quarter, because mint marks were temporarily removed between 1965 and 1967 to discourage coin hoarding during the transition away from silver. The U.S. Mint produced an enormous number of quarters in 1965 to meet circulation demand. Over 1.8 billion quarters were struck. Because of this high mintage, most 1965 quarters are very common in circulated grades. However, certain errors and high-grade examples can be worth much more than face value. This is where things get exciting. Some rare 1965 quarters are worth thousands. A few quarters were accidentally struck on leftover 90% silver planchets from 1964. These are extremely rare and highly valuable. If you have one, it could be worth $5,000 to $10,000 plus, depending on condition. Some examples show doubling on the date or lettering. These could be worth anywhere from $50 to several $100s. Off-center strikes or clipped planchets asterisk error coins like these can bring $100, $50, depending on severity. .in top mint state can bring very strong premiums at auction. Always check for luster, strike quality, and surface marks. The fewer marks, the higher the grade, and the higher the value. Collectors prize the 1965 quarter because 1. It marks the beginning of the modern clad era. 2. Transitional errors exist, making it a hunt-worthy year. 3. High-grade SMS coins are tough to find with deep cameo contrast. Even though billions were made, finding one in pristine condition is challenging, which is why they can command strong prices at auctions. So, while most 1965 quarters in your pocket change will only be worth face value, some special examples, like mint state gems, SMS cameos, or rare silver transitional errors, could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. If you have a 1965 quarter, weigh it carefully, check for errors, and if it looks special, consider having it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. When we talk about the 1965 United States quarter dollar, we are not just talking about another coin. We are talking about a milestone in U.S. monetary history. To truly understand the importance of this quarter, we need to go back to the early 1960s and look at what was happening in America's economy, the role of silver, and the public's reaction to coinage changes. In the early 1960s, silver was still widely used in U.S. coins. Dimes, quarters, and half dollars were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper. For decades, this worked perfectly fine. But by 1963 and 1964, Silver prices began climbing sharply. Here's why industrial demand for silver was increasing, especially for electronics, photography, and manufacturing. At the same time, the global silver supply was under strain. The value of silver in coins was getting close to or even above the face value of the coins themselves. This led to a dangerous situation called coin hoarding. People realized that U.S. dimes and quarters contained real silver, so they began pulling them out of circulation, melting them down, or simply saving them. Suddenly, coins were disappearing from everyday commerce. Imagine trying to buy something in 1964 and not being able to get change because everyone was stashing coins. That's exactly what was happening. The U.S. government, led by President Lyndon B. Johnson, had to act quickly to prevent a full-blown coin shortage. On July 23, 1965, President Johnson signed the Coinage Act of 1965, which fundamentally changed American coinage. This act declared that 1. Silver would be removed from dimes and quarters completely. 2. The new composition would be a copper-nickel clad coin, with outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. 3. Half dollars would be reduced from 90% silver to 40% silver. This lasted until 1970, after which they too became clad. 4. For a period of 5 years, the U.S. Mint was not allowed to place mint marks on coins, to discourage people from hoarding coins based on their mint origin. This was a monumental shift. For the first time since the founding of the nation, everyday circulating dimes and quarters no longer contained precious metal. The 1965 Washington quarter became the first regular issue quarter struck in clad composition. It weighed 5.67 grams, slightly less than the 6.25 grams of the old silver quarters, and it had a sandwich look with a visible copper edge. This was not only a change in composition, but also a cultural shock for the American public. Many people distrusted the new sandwich coins at first, saying they felt lighter, cheaper, and less valuable. Some even believed they would not last long in circulation. But over time, Americans got used to the copper-nickel coins, and they have remained the standard for over 50 years. The transition had wide-reaching effects. The U.S. Treasury saved millions of ounces of silver by replacing it with cheaper copper and nickel. Silver coins quickly disappeared from circulation as Americans hoarded every dime, quarter, and half-dollar. Dated 1964, an earlier coin collecting boomed in the 1960s, partly because of this transition. Everyone wanted to save silver coins, and many also began looking at new clad coins to see if errors or varieties existed. In short, the 1965 quarter symbolizes the exact moment when America shifted from precious metal coinage to modern base metal coinage. During the changeover, the U.S. Mint faced several challenges. People resisted using clad coins at first, preferring real silver money. There were widespread rumors that silver coins would return, which fueled more hoarding. Banks had to reassure customers that the new coins were legal tender and would remain in circulation permanently. Interestingly, during this period, the government also ramped up production. More than 1.8 billion 1965 quarters were struck to meet demand. This was one of the largest mintages of any U.S. coin at the time. One fascinating twist in history is the accidental creation of 1965 quarters struck on silver planchets. Some leftover 90% silver blanks from 1964 mistakenly made their way into 1965 presses. These rare transitional errors escaped into circulation, and today they are worth thousands of dollars. This makes the 1965 quarter not only historically important, but also exciting for collectors, because every 1965 quarter could potentially be checked for this error. The 1965 Washington quarter represents a turning point in American coinage. It marks the end of circulating silver coins and the beginning of our modern clad coin era. From 1965 onward, quarters became a tool for daily commerce, not a store of precious metal value. The Washington quarter design remained until 1998, when the state quarters program began. Today, the 1965 quarter serves as a reminder of how economic pressures shape even the smallest details of our lives, including the change in our pockets. As you can see, the history behind the 1965 quarter is not just about a single coin. It's about a dramatic shift in U.S. coinage policy, a response to global silver shortages, and the beginning of the modern era of American money. This coin may look ordinary, but in reality, it's one of the most historically significant quarters ever minted. When it comes to coin collecting, one of the most important factors that determines value is the condition of the coin. With the 1965 quarter, condition is especially important because billions were made and most circulated heavily. Only the coins that survived in excellent shape or with special finishes have collectible premiums today. Coin condition is measured by a system called grading. Collectors and professional grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, use a numerical scale known as the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. For the 1965 Washington quarter, most coins you find in circulation today will fall somewhere between good G4 and about uncirculated -58 Australian dollars, while true mint state coins MS60 and above are scarcer and more valuable. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC often certify 1965 quarters, especially SMS coins and high-grade mint states. Having a coin slabbed and graded adds trust for buyers and can significantly increase resale value. As you can see, the condition of a 1965 quarter makes all the difference. Most are only worth face value, but the small percentage that survived in gem uncirculated condition, or as special mint set coins, can command strong premiums. And if you happen to have one of those rare transitional silver errors in high grade, well, you might just be holding a coin worth thousands of dollars.